Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world right now. Welcome to the 10 Dimensions of Wellness. I am your host, Cammie Red. We are excited about today's show. On today's show, we have Dr. Shawnte, and she's going to tell us all about what Sister Wells does and how we can actually support her and how we can be a part of this, because I've been on your website, so I know this is something that all women need to experience, or at least just need to hear about what it is that you guys do with your coaching and counseling services, and how you all are helping us be better and be leaders and be well. So
Absolutely. I'm
Dr.
excited to
Shawnte,
work with
tell us
you.
all about yourself.
A little bit about me. I am born and raised in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Um, Raised by a single mother, community raised by the family. My mom had me and my identical twin sister in high school. And so I always talk about, my mom had us, but we were community raised. The family loved and supported us. Um, my dad was in and out of our life and in active addiction, but now he's clean. And so that's a lot of our work deals around trauma and recovery. My sister's a licensed addiction specialist. And so a lot of our work stems from a lot of that. I am by trade a health educator by through and through. I didn't have the stomach to be a nurse like my mom and grandma. Legitimately, I passed out. I don't have the
Listen,
stomach for
wait a
it.
minute. I hate to interrupt your story, but girl, you just spoke to my soul. Why every woman in my family is a nurse, right? So my choice, my trade of profession starting out was a chef. Then I moved into nutrition. Um, I was like, sorry, I can't do the blood. I can't do the take the needles. I can't do any of that. That's just not gonna work for me. So when you said that, it was like you almost just spoke to exactly how I felt.
I literally would run away when it came time to get my shots. And then my mom worked in the hospital, and we had a great time, like following her around the hospital. And they had a high school program that actually paid us. What is it? A candy striper thing. So me and my sister got to go and shadow. And I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist, but they make you shadow all the therapists. And I didn't know that PT did wound care.
Yeah.
Nobody told this high school student, and they were unpacking a decubitus ulcer, and
Oh,
the smell.
oh.
I just remember I was in the hallway when I came to. They was like, I hit the ground, thumped, and so I knew then that blood and guts wasn't for me. I went to East Carolina University for athletic training, did well in the program, but my heart wasn't in it. And one thing my family, especially my granny, taught me and my sister was to go with what you love. And I remember meeting Dr. David Chenoweth, who was the chair over our worksite health program. And it was like he was singing to me. I remember when he left, I was like, I'm going to switch my major. And I literally had my interview for upper division for the training program. And I called my mom, and she was like, go with your heart, baby. You'll never go wrong. And I called Dr. Katie Walsh, who's still at East Carolina over the athletic training program, and said, I'm not coming for my interview. She's like, no, come up here. And I knew if I went, she would convince me no. I switched my major, became a worksite health student, and literally within a couple weeks met Tawana Jeffries Perkett, who was one of the health educators at East Carolina in student health, and got to watch them do what we call then a peer educator model or peer to peer. And I was
Okay.
like, I could just talk about sex, mental health, everything in between. And I was like, I can do this. And she's like, yes, not only can you do this as a student, but you can do this as a career. And I was so lucky to have Tawana take me under her wing. And then the grad student at that time was Hope McFadder. And I'm naming these women because they both were strong Black women who took me under their wing and literally poured into me well before I became this great health educator. And then I graduated from my bachelor's degree and had no clue what I was going to do. Not a clue. My sister was already graduated, and I was like, get a job, get my master's. And Hope was like, I'm done. The graduate assistantship is yours. if you want it. And I was like, I hadn't taken the MAT, applied to grad school, and that motivation, that push was,
Just made,
was
yeah.
what I needed. So I literally studied for the MAT, got into my master's program conditionally, and took a semester, made great grades, and got fully into the master's in health education program. And then a year later, Tawana and them moved out of student health over to recreation, and they still want a health educator and a dietitian inside of student health. So me and the grad assistant who was doing her dietetic internship stayed,
Yep.
and me and Courtney stayed, and we applied for the positions and got them, which meant I had to leave my master's program, which was fully face to face,
Yeah.
and do finish my last year online. So they took my first year of classes and only did a 1 year online program, which was a master's in wellness program, and that changed everything. That was the first time I took spiritual wellness classes. I talked about
Wow.
those dimensions of wellness, and talked about the connection between mind, body, and spirit, and how disease shows up.
Yep.
And it doesn't make any sense. The you taking all the blood work, you're doing all the palpitations, and you're like, what is going on? And nothing makes sense. But when you, as we call it, do really good root work.
I was going to say when you do what we call root work. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I remember in my textbook, the first three stories was a man who was having heart palpitations. They thought he had a heart attack, didn't.
Yeah.
The second one was a woman who had an issue with her blood, but they couldn't figure out what it was. And the third woman was having issues around anxiety and depression. And they couldn't figure it out. But once they did the root work, the man was literally dying from a broken heart. His wife was leaving him. The
Yep.
woman with the issue of blood was HIV. It's well before we knew what it was.
What it was. Yep.
Again, and then the last woman was just trauma.
Yeah. Just trauma. That's,
The trauma
yeah.
that stemmed from her childhood that was showing up as she was literally being re-traumatized throughout her day to day. And that was the first time I had a textbook that made me cry, legitimately. As I'm learning that what I see is not always what I see.
It's not always what you see. I tell people that a lot. I'm a nutrition and dietitian, so I deal a lot with emotional eating. And what people don't get is that a lot of the diseases and ailments that we deal with just are general mental conditions and have a lot to do with our spiritual well-being, our emotional well-being, our intellectual well-being. It's all intertwined. And even with depression and anxiety, it has a lot to do with what you feed your body as well.
Absolutely.
So,
But let me go there with you. Let's just talk about nutrition for a quick second, because I used to be twice this size. And me and my sister are in a sorority. We stepped and strolled, and even though we were physically active, the weight didn't go anywhere. And we started seeing a dietitian, and we ended up having weight loss surgery. But one thing we learned throughout that process was, when you have the financial means and you can pay for food, that is a whole mindset shift that we don't prepare people for. One.
that, yeah,
Two, we had to learn how to throw food away,
yes.
because you
Yes.
don't throw food away.
Well, see, those are things that we are generationally taught
Taught.
because of our upbringing, because of our quote unquote trauma from childhood. These are
Exactly.
things that, like as we grow, we learn not to inflict on our children because of some of the things that have actually transpired in our lives because of that. Because growing up, we all hear you have to eat all your food. You
Clean your
have to
plate.
clean. Yeah, you have to clean your plate. Well, guess what? You don't have to do that. As a matter of fact, it's not good if you do. Being able to leave some of that food on the plate and eating just until your body is nourished is what we have to teach our children. Seeing so many kids with childhood obesity, childhood high blood pressure, childhood diabetes, all caused from diet is, really, really saddening. And then, like in my field, what I try to do is I try to educate from the kids up to the parents. I've learned that by educating the children, you actually educate the parents.
And they learn too.
Yeah, because
At the
one thing
same
about
time.
kids are relentless once they learn something, especially if they learn it's going to kill somebody or it's going to harm somebody. They let you know that what you're doing is not right. So
Mm-hmm.
teaching children nutrition actually passes it on to their parents by way of their children. So I've learned to just focus on kids.
Absolutely. Easy win. Easy win. And
Yeah.
because of all of that, at first, me and my sister took it as these were things we couldn't control. And then as we went through our career, my sister went in doing health education also from the school sector and ended up switching over, getting a master's, another master's in
Mm-hmm.
counseling and a PhD in counseling. And in the
Go,
midst of this,
sister. Okay.
right, and in the midst of all of this, that's how we meet Dr. Charla Bumel. She is our big sister within Zeta Phi Beta. And she actually was my internship supervisor. And so I did corporate wellness for my internship.
Okay.
And so she supervised me for a weight loss program for kids. And so we started doing programming together. We were hanging out because we were sorority sisters. And then we started doing these programs and doing these conferences. And we always did it from a place of not being whole, but being mindful of the pathway that got us to where we are. And that it
Yes.
really has to come from a place of identifying the root of where from whence it comes. And so a
Yeah.
lot of times, my sister may come from a clinical piece, but most me and Charla are health and wellness coaches. And then we just had to add another therapist to our business, Sister Wills, Quenisha Sawyer, who initially was working up under my sister to get her hours and certification and training. And so she's our second therapist. So we have two therapists, and now we have two health and wellness coaches. And we all mentor, we all provide a variety of services, consultations, resume, cover letters, interview prepping. This is the stuff that we found out that we did it so well innately before we charged for it. This
Yeah.
is that we just did it. And so we sat down at Charlotte's house. We was getting ready to do a conference in Raleigh. And that's where the idea came together for Sister Wills. All of us are spiritual and religious, but one of the things we talked about as women that we all identified was the woman going to the well. She goes to the
Yes.
well in the heat of the day.
Yeah.
The well is the water cooler. We
Yeah.
like to talk. I'm trying to go talk to Cammy Red, but I can't
Okay.
because in that moment I am the black sheep in the
Yes, that's
context,
right.
and so she has to go to the well by herself. And at the well, she's identified um, by the higher power as, hey, I know who you are. I
Yep.
know who I am. But we focus more so on the journey there, that she decides to go and take that journey in the midst of chaos, in
In
the
the
midst
midst of
of pain,
everything going on.
because she
That's
thinks
right.
nobody's going to see her. She's going to go so nobody can point her out, but that's exactly when she gets what she needs. And so we focus on the well-being, a place of what we need, but we got to go get it.
Okay. It's the journey to get to
It's
the
the
to
journey.
yes. So I want you to describe the process behind you guys' coaching and counseling program. What it is that you all offer to people when they sign up with you.
So Sheree and is the leader. She supervises Quenisha when it comes to the counseling. They have therapy has a variety of different theories, and so cognitive behavior therapy. I know Sheree just finished the EDMR, so they have a variety of modalities and therapy models that they use. So that's Sheree. Now, when it comes to Sheree and Quenisha, when it comes to health and wellness coaching, me and Charlotte went through the same coaching through Real Balance,
Okay.
and a year behind each other. And the health and wellness coaching is truly from a mindset of you don't have to be an expert to coach. Even though we're both trained as health educators, I'm also a tobacco cessation coach. It reminds me to take off my health educator hat where I'm knowledgeable as far
That's
as
right.
content, and to really just say you have the skill sets already that you need because you're here. And so we use a lot of the stages of change, which is a public health theory, also
Yes.
known as the trans theoretical model of pre-contemplation, contemplation, action. So we look at where our clients potentially are, and we help them move to an action phase. And then again, how to maintain maintenance is a big part of that. So
Yes.
from the coaching aspect of it. So we have a variety of worksheets that we use to engage in that process. And we use a lot of the worksheets that we got from Real Balance that we have their trademark on it and ours too, because they allow us, since we went through their
To
training,
use it. Okay.
to use it. And I did research for about 2.5 years because, again, at that time, coaching was really coming out. There was no national coaching federation yet.
Mm-mm.
It had just started to come out. So there was a variety of coaching programs. But when I chose this one, well, COA was on the list and a couple others, but I chose the Real Balance one because the man who created the Real Balance one is a therapist.
Yeah.
But he created it specifically to remind those who do this work, you don't have to be a clinician. You don't have to be an expert in anything, but let me teach you the framework of
How to guide people through that way of their
yes.
lives.
So we
Yeah.
use motivational
It's very
interviewing,
much, yeah.
those type of things.
Yeah, it's like the pretty much the basic type of formula that we use in our program with health and nutrition as well. We meet
Absolutely.
our clients where they are and then
Which is
guide
MI.
them. Yeah.
Yes.
To,
Motivational, it's the framework of motivational interviewing is to meet them where they are, but also that's the framework of public health is
yeah.
to go to them and don't bring them to us.
Yeah,
So
but that's the key with wellness, period. Like, in order to have a successful client or patient in wellness, you have to meet people where they are. I'm often explaining to people that when you force yourself to do something, like when you jump on trends and you look at everybody doing this and thinking I can do it too, and that's when you fail the most. We don't get that. It's small steps to big goals.
absolutely.
So in the process with health and wellness, we didn't get this way overnight. So your thinking, your mindset, your behavior, your habits, they're not going to change overnight either. So just
Absolutely.
take it slow, take it from where you are and just keep moving forward. And don't be afraid of setbacks. That's what I'm like.
Welcome it. Welcome
Yeah.
it. It's
Look,
part of the process.
it's
And when we
part
do
of
those things,
life. Like, we all fall down.
I think that's the part where we don't talk enough about embracing the failure, embracing the setback. What did you learn from it? And a lot of times when we're doing the consulting piece around professional components, when we're either consulting and working with the client, resume, cover letter, interviewing, the no's are the setbacks. I
Yeah.
got the interview, I didn't get the interview. I made it to the final round, but didn't get the offer. And those things tend to, as you can probably be aware of, is
Yeah.
it sends them all the way back to square one. I
It
don't want you
does.
to go back to square one. I want you to see how far you've come.
From where you used to be. And then I want you to look at what just happened and what occurred and find the lesson in it so that we don't repeat this process again, but we just keep moving forward.
I'm gonna throw my shoe at you right now. It's the lesson. It's the lesson. And one of the things I was talking to my newest mentee, I said, when you have experienced trauma, especially at a childhood, something happens where your ability to dream diminishes.
Yeah.
And so when I work with a lot of first generation students, a lot of people who went through trauma on the coaching side, or just when I'm consulting, and Sheree can tell you from the counseling side, it's pretty much no different. When we start to work with them, that imposter syndrome, whew,
Whoa,
it
girl.
rears its ugly head, and it's working through generational isms that
Yeah.
it is far-fetched and it's beyond sometimes what coaching can do. And that's why it's so beneficial for us to have the therapist and the coach, because I can say, let me
That's,
pause
I
you
was just,
for a moment and let me send you to Konisha or Sheree.
yeah.
And when they say you can come back, or we will work in tandem, because there's times we work in tandem with each other.
Yeah.
There's times we had to pause the coaching to send you right back over.
When I realized that a lot of nutrition work was emotional therapy, I immediately, like, it was like, oh, I got to go back to school, because in order to deal with some of these things, I have to be able to identify what it is that my clients are working through so that I can also recommend a specialist that is best fit for their needs, because I already know what issues they're having. They're eating their way through their emotions, but I'm not equipped to deal with some of the things that are causing some of these emotional eating issues, like we said, childhood traumas, even adult traumas that they face, or some things that I'm listening to you and I'm crying with you.
Yes. And that's the part about, the other part of the work, that a lot of the work that me and Sheree do that is about our faith and our belief in the higher power, is when we sit in our various sessions with clients.
Yes.
And discernment is everything. And it's a gift that we have when you believe in something bigger than yourself, and when we get that message from God to say something that is not of us, and we pass it to our client, and you see that moment, that light bulb moment of, this is the connection, that this is that word that they needed at that moment. And me, Sheree, Quenisha, and Charla, but I particularly talk about me and Sheree, this is our ministry. There are people called to go in the pulpit, but this is what we know we have been placed here to do. And a lot of times when we do this work, it is outside of ourselves. And
it is.
It is outside of ourselves, and the work that we do is within those 10 dimensions of wellness. And that's where we tend to dive into. Sometimes they come in with one thing, and we find ourselves working through a variety of other.
You actually find yourself working through all 10 dimensions of wellness
on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, the story that we hear from our clients is one thing, but when our clients allow us to self-disclose when appropriate, when they hear that we've overcome the same thing, and it comes from a place of authenticity, it's a different connection, and it's not from a place of arrogance or I read in this textbook. It's a place of, they know what they're talking about. They have experienced this.
Believe it or not, that is what I actually teach as well. So you and I are aligned a lot alike. The stories that we come from, giving our patients the benefit of having them understand that what they've been through, we've been through as well. That's also a positive for them, and allows them to open up more to us and give us a little bit more insight on how to help and how to deal with them. Because then they realize, I'll give you an example. I had a girl on my show a couple of weeks back. She's a therapist. And one of the things that we talked about was the stigma of therapy in the Black community. And she's expressed how she has to actually come to people and meet them where they are in life and talk to them like she is their home girl, to try to express to them the importance and the need for them to go to therapy. And it's just like we said just a few minutes ago, meeting people at their level and having a level of compassion and care to like you just said, self-disclose a little bit about ourselves so that they feel comfortable enough to continue this journey forward.
But it humanizes us. A lot of times, when they see us, they only see the doctor. They only see the degree. They don't see the journey. And
they don't understand that the part of the reason we went into this field is because of the journey that we were
on. And so to humanize ourselves, and again, when I say when appropriate, self-disclosure can level that playing field. It puts us in a place that we are no different from anyone else. The difference is we choose to use those things that have unfortunately caused trauma for us or been hurtful for us to help motivate others. And so a lot of times when I see students saying like, oh, Dean Elbert or Dr. Elbert, we know you went through that. We know you was a first generation student. We know I had every type of free lunch that was available. Let's just be real. Yes, I had free lunch. I went to the Girls and Boys Club. Yes, I watched my father be in and out of jail, prison, in active recovery. I watched my mom grow up with us. But all of that to say, we are not the outcome of what people said.
I was just going to say, all of that happened. But look at what happened to you in spite of all of it.
And It only
regardless
means
of
that
where you came from, regardless of what you went through, regardless of what you perceive to be trauma in your life, you still took the steps to move forward, to heal yourself, and not just be a healer, but not to heal yourself, but to become a healer so that you can be of service to other people going through the same things that you had been through.
And that's
So
why I remind people that this is my ministry. You know,
yeah,
everybody has souls tied to them if they choose to have a higher power, whether you're Hindu, Muslim, whatever.
that's
There
right.
are people tied to you in your work, in your ministry. And this just happens to be mine. It's tied to Sister Wills and the work I do within higher education. And it has been a journey that I have embraced. I don't always understand, but I have embraced, and it has been so great to be able to do this work and to see the light bulb moment.
Yes.
Because a
Yes.
lot of times you don't always get to see the moment.
No. Let me ask you this. That now that you said that, tell me about a patient that perhaps touched your heart and changed the way you approach your practice.
I had just finished my tobacco cessation training. This I won't mention the campus I was at, but I was doing tobacco cessation and um, couldn't tell me nothing. I was like, I got this. I got this. I can do this. This student didn't show up for tobacco. They showed up for marijuana. And I was like, oh. But there are a lot of similarities when you do tobacco cessation and marijuana cessation. I still use a harm reduction approach for both,
Okay.
which means if I can't get them to quit, can we reduce the
The
usage,
usage.
which is harm reduction.
Yeah.
It's no scare tactics, that type of thing. But one of the things that made me change my approach was the student was doing really, really good. I didn't prepare the student for going home. It didn't click. I was like, we good, tapering down and the numbers, the tracking sheet, they showing up for appointments. I didn't plan for them to go home. And that's the part when working with underrepresented, marginalized populations, getting to the root. We hadn't went to the root to talk about how they smoked with their family.
Yeah, like what their home environment was. You were only dealing with what it was like for them being in school in their current situation, not when they walked away from that environment to another
Exactly.
one. Yeah.
Exactly. And so as that one was going on, I had another young lady come in. It was like back to back. And these two really shifted my engagement. And then the young lady comes in and she's there for tobacco cessation. But not only does she smoke cigarettes, she also smokes marijuana. And something in there I can't shake. I done went through her assessment sheet. She done filled out all her forms. And I'm like, something don't feel right. Like something like how you get anxious,
Yeah.
heart beating fast. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't
You
feel
were
like
getting all the energy feelings that something wasn't right about this
I
situation.
said, I'm not getting everything. I said, all right. I said, so let's take a step back. What aren't you telling me? I said, because this tells me what you want me to know. What aren't you telling me? So I can get a bigger picture of what it
Of what's
is.
really going
I said,
on.
so
Yeah.
let's go back. When did all of this start? And she took the deepest breath I have ever heard. And that's when the tears started. Just saying, take me back to when this started was enough to recall. And that's when I knew this was tied to something beyond just smoking cigarettes and marijuana. It was tied to, unfortunately, sexual assault that had
Yeah.
happened a couple of months before, but it
Mm.
wasn't on any of her intake forms. But again, a lot of times when we do this work, if you aren't comfortable with the uncomfortable and you just disregard the feelings that we get that are parts of discernment and innate, I could have completely did this job with her and not even thought twice about it.
Yeah, you would
And
have missed the signal, and you would have totally the cause and the root of all of this would have been for null. Everything you would have done would have been actually for no reason whatsoever. It just would have been to get the results of a positive results of that experiment for that moment in
And I
time.
got that with the guy.
Yeah.
Surface level, we was doing good.
Yeah.
And
But
with this happening in tandem, I was able to kind of just, all right, something ain't right, go deeper, Shawnte. And what
yeah.
I learned from those lessons is one of the activities my sister does a lot when we do open presentations and engagements, and it's the mask activity. So I've included that activity of, on the front part of this mask, what do you want people to see? And on the back part, what are you hiding? Because that
Okay.
intends, that allows us to go deeper. And I learned a lot from those two clients that were literally back to back when I was working and doing tobacco cessation, because it made me again start using that term root work.
Yeah.
And I know that's when it started. I can tell you the year, but I won't, because then it could be too much connection. But it was that moment I realized that it's never that
Yeah.
simple.
It's never,
It's never
it's
that simple.
never that easy. You would like to think it is. You would want to hope that it would be, but it's not that simple. It ain't just they woke up one day and decided to eat the way they were going to eat just because they wanted to. Now, some people do make those decisions, but that's not the case most of the time. Most of the time, people are feeding fears, they're feeding trauma, they're dealing with something that is childhood, something that has occurred recently, but it's just the comfort of food, the comfort of, like you said, cigarettes, the comfort of self-medicating, all of
Mm-hmm.
that. So your sister, I'm pretty sure you guys deal with a balance of both food addiction, drug addiction, just a sex addiction, all kinds. I'm sorry. I said it's one of the things that, and I think I hit mute by mistake, just waving my hand. Oh, I said, what's one of the things your program has done for one of your clients that you guys didn't expect to happen?
I think one of the things that has happened through the mentoring aspect of Sister Wells is that those mentees becoming mentors themselves. It
Okay.
is a breath of fresh air to see those who initially started off as a mentee of us. And now, when we are working with a client that can use some of theirs, like, I'm a health educator, but I'm not on the ground face to face doing it as much. So now I can put them in contact with one of my mentees who is still doing health education day in and day out. I'm an administrator now. And so to be able to come full circle and say, all right, I mentored you, now you know the expectations for you to pay it back, because at that time we were charging for mentoring, and we don't charge for mentoring in that aspect either. Now consultation is different, but for mentoring, the expectation is that you pay it forward. You don't take
Yeah,
all of
that
your
you be the
knowledge and
one
sit
to,
on it.
yeah.
And so to pay it forward and to watch them become the mentor and watch them take on some of the same work, and then I sign them up. So when I do, a lot of times I do a webinar or something, I'll invite them in and I may open up, but I was like, all right, Jasmine. One, I got two Jasmines, Jasmine Jones, Jasmine, go for it. And again, I let them start taking the lead, because you got it.
Yeah.
That is, to
You
me, the
doing it,
best
you
part of
that's the
it.
work you want to do. I've mentored you, I've guided you. Now it's time for you to get out there and show people what I've done.
And we got Quenisha, which is one of Sheree's mentees, who's
Yeah.
now working with us. Prime
So
example. When you do it right, that's what the outcome is
that's
seen.
what'll happen. That's true. So I have a twofold question for you. It's two parts. The first part is, what's one of the common myths about women in wellness that you all run into? And what is one of the biggest challenges that you all face when it comes to working with women in wellness?
I think the biggest challenge is that, one, we're all voluptuous, plus size women. And even at our smallest, we're still quite shapely. And we don't look
The
like
part.
the part
Yeah.
of it.
We don't
And
look
I
the part.
remember, right. And I remember when I first got into the field and Sheree got into the field, and while we've all gained weight, lost weight over the years, we don't look like, some of the health and fitness gurus out there, and that's their lane. And so that's some of the things that we have um, had challenges with. And I think, we're okay with that. I think,
Well,
go
what
ahead.
I've learned is, and this is just me speaking sister to sister, me to you, we are shaped differently. We all look different. We are all shaped different. We have different body types. Going through this health and wellness journey on my own, just as a Black woman, my body weight goes up and down. The way I look, my shape, like to you, I might look extremely shapely, but I might wear a size 6, whereas somebody else wears a size 6, doesn't look like I do.
Okay.
They might look like a stick in a size 6, whereas you looking at me and I'm still curves and shape, but I'm also at a size 6. I also am the same size that I am at a size 12, but that's because my body shape, my body structure, and who I am, and just my body makeup, that melanin in me is a little bit different than everybody else's. So even with my clients, and I'm sure you guys run into the same thing with African American clients, you don't have to look super skinny to be healthy. That's not the goal. That's not the key. That's not how it's supposed to be. What's important is that you're actually putting the right things into your body and at least trying to maintain some type of activity to keep yourself limber and flexible
Absolutely.
throughout the day.
Absolutely. And one thing about Sister Wells, we affirm all people. We are affirming.
Yeah.
Dr. Blumel has a partner, and we affirm everybody. So we have clients who are LGBTQ plus. We have
Yes.
heterosexual clients. That is not the norm, especially a lot of times for those of us who are African American, because we were taught. A lot of
Yeah,
us were
there we
taught
go
different.
with them generational
And
curses
so
again.
our business has always been affirming.
Yeah.
Show up as you are. We will use the pronouns you prefer. We will identify you as you prefer. Show up
Yes.
as who
Just
you
be
are is
who it
welcome.
is. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Be
that has
who it
been
is that you desire to be, and be whatever it is that makes you happy, because the
absolutely,
end result is your peace of mind and your happiness.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's who we are. And, it's funny, we started off as sisters because of a sorority. And beyond that, we are sisters in life. I mean, we love on each other, we cover each other, we pray for each other. Our partners are all good friends. I mean, that's something that you
but
couldn't
but two of y'all are
put
actually biological sisters, right?
yeah, so me and Sheree Rogers are identical twins. So yeah, we're identical twins, and then Charla is our big sister. So, but we've
Okay.
all been close since, let me see, 2001. That's when we all
Okay.
met. I mean, and we have been inseparable since. I'm sure Charla would say we were the little sisters that probably got on her nerves, but yeah, that was us. And I mean, the first time I started doing programming with Charla, before I became a Zeta, I got to go and see her do. Her expertise is in sexuality, and I watched her do some sexual health presentations. And so by the time I became a Zeta, this is before Sister Wills, I was going to some of her presentations for the graduate program she had when she's teaching graduate students. Um, and I remember the first time she took me to a sex toy shop, I was like, I'm going to get in trouble. Let me get my scarf or my hat. Can't nobody see me. I'm gonna park on the side of the building so they can't see my car. Cause Greenville, North Carolina is really, really small.
Oh, I
Um,
know what Greenville, North Carolina is, girl.
yes,
I actually had a wellness center in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So,
yes. And
yeah,
I remember she was like, "Why are you coming in here looking crazy? Walk in here, be bold."
like own who you are,
And I
okay?
remember learning, I sat in on one of her sessions that she did, not the one through the graduate school, but an after hours program she did. And there was a older woman in there in her 40s who had never had an orgasm and had been married for a couple decades. And I remember that can't be what this is all about. They talk about, covenant and marriage, but we shame women for so long to not be sexual beings, but expect that switch to happen once we get married to be
Mhm.
sexual beings,
Mhm.
but it doesn't happen. And it was that moment of watching her teach a sexual health class and watching grown women who were considerably older than me, who had never experienced
Sexual pleasure.
intimacy, sexual pleasure,
Mhm.
use a toy, knew what
Or even
different types of
understood what.
orgasm was.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was, when I say mind blowing,
You would
it,
be surprised, just how well, not anymore, you wouldn't be, but just how even to this day, how people carry sex as taboo.
oh,
Like it's a conversation they're not supposed to have with each other. And but what's crazy is my path into wellness was all kinds of twisted and sorted.
it
I
always is.
Yeah, like believe it or not, I lived through the 10 dimensions of wellness before I actually started teaching it. I started out as an erogenous chef. So I was teaching about sex and food before I actually started teaching about nutrition. I'm a breast cancer survivor. That's how I got into nutrition. But prior to that, you would like the thought of sex and actually having a conversation about sex with your married partner is taboo to people. And I found that part right there to be particularly surprising for me, especially with teaching couples how to spice up things through the kitchen. Like I had a class that was called it was an erotic cooking class, and our tagline was taking it from the kitchen to the bedroom.
Oh, I like that.
So,
I
so
so me and Sheree used to do one called Dinner and Dessert. See, kindred spirits, kindred.
so can you imagine doing a cooking class? Now I'm standing in the kitchen with you and your mate, and I'm telling you and sort of expressing or trying to get you to express some of the things that you're feeling and some of the things that you need or
Mm-hmm,
desire with your
mm-hmm.
sexual experience with your partner, and you're unable to even communicate this with the person that you lay down with, that you love, that you've been with
Mm-hmm.
for years. That boggled my mind because the expression of sex in women has been suppressed so much
It
that,
is unreal.
yeah, like it's like women are afraid to just say the word sex sometimes. It's like you're speaking a curse word to them. You can say sex and their face gets all tight and their eyes get all big and they're like, oh no, are we going to talk about this
Mm-hmm.
now? But that's a fear factor for us. And that's also, that causes, now check this out. That intertwines with your emotional wellness, which causes anxiety for you, your social wellness, because it causes, when
Mm-hmm.
you get in social situations where you do have to talk about sex, you become extremely uncomfortable about it. So everything ties in together, and people don't I cannot express that enough, how people really don't get that sex, food, crying, walking, it's all this, your body absorbs it all. it's it's all tied in together.
Yep, 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 yep. Ditto. Ditto.
Now let me ask you this. This year has been a year of woo. So, what's the biggest surprise that you've had this year? And, just how did you either embrace it, overcome it? Just what have you, there have been so many things that have occurred in 2020. I don't even know where to start. So,
A lot of people have looked at 2020 as a crazy year, a bad year. But for me, 2020 is probably one of the best years. So our youngest child is 2, and he has Hirschsprung's disease, and so we've had 2 years of surgeries.
Okay.
Summer 2018, summer 2019 is, 3, 4 surgeries.
Right.
So this is the first year of us having checkups that have went well. So
Oh,
this has been a year of affirmation. Uh, Postpartum was horrible for me after having him, because a lot of times people don't talk about, you pray for a healthy child and you don't get one. And I
yeah.
got a lot of, well, God won't give you more than you can bear. Please don't. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of those religious colloquiums, and
People, they mean well, but they have no
well,
understanding
no
of how.
clue.
Yeah.
Yes, and so having that, I was also finishing up my dissertation, and I defended. So the past 2 years have been just two tough years, and weight gain, losing and gaining. Over 2 years, it has been a stressful year. But what I have seen come out of 2020 has been a couple of things: affirmation and
Yeah.
reminders of who I am. Munchkin has had 2 checkups where the surgeon at Seattle Children's has just given him 2 check marks. One more check
That's so awesome.
yearly, yearly checkups, which is a huge thing for any child with Hirschsprung's disease. So we are on the cuff of getting there.
Yay. Look, I'm just like hand claps, applauses
Yes,
all
he's
around.
doing good. He's gaining weight. And then, I finally joined a national board. So I'm on the board of directors for American College Health
Go,
Association
girl.
and for NASPA for our peer education advisory board. I had a chance to engage in some opportunities with a couple of groups where I did some things that I was so afraid of. I put some numbers out there that I was afraid to say, and I got yeses.
I was
And
getting ready to say, see, sometimes those fears are not really fears. That's just an energetic field around you, just, telling you that
right.
something is about to happen.
And so for me, 2020, it has had moments of just, this sucks. But it has also been a year of affirmation and a reminder of what's to come. And
Yes.
even in the nose of even in the nose I've gotten in 2020, what my cousin reminded me of is a screen door, not a closed door.
That's
God still
right.
gave you a chance to see what's to come. That's the privilege of it. And that is what makes it exciting. And also expanded the ability to think and to dream. A lot of times when you grow up, again, as I said, you don't dream out of
You
fear.
don't
Like
take that time.
you don't think. I didn't dream about being an associate dean. I didn't dream about making 6 figures. That wasn't even on my
Your
radar.
to-do, your list. No.
No. But what I've learned in the process of healing and going through this process of what's the possibilities are far beyond what I could have thought. And 2020 has reminded me of that. And so my sister is now living her best life in St. Martin, um, working at American University as the director of wellness counseling. So she just moved to the islands a couple weeks ago.
Tell your sister, I want to work with her.
Look, all I said was like, I need a janitor. What y'all need a fundraiser? I mean,
Look, I'm a chef. Do she need somebody? Look, I'm a nutritionist. That might
right.
be her field, but if she just needs somebody to come in and clean up behind.
I mean, so we're literally seeing, in 2020, blessings are still happening. And
Yeah.
so while I'm aware that even in the midst of, I'm also still, I got furloughed. So I'm still not working full time, but there has not been lack in this season. And so for
Yes.
me, 2020 has been a reminder to kind of shift, refocus. We kind of dive back in and added some
Oh,
to Sister
did you not
Wells.
just say the word? Like, that's been the key word for 2020 is you cannot look at this as if it's been a negative situation. You
No, no,
have
no.
definitely have to look at this and say, okay, this was an opportunity for me to reshift, refocus, and redo whatever I needed to do for myself. Maybe if even if it was just taking time to focus on self.
Me.
Yeah, sometimes that's what we needed. Maybe this social distancing, lockdown, pandemic thing happened in everybody's life for a reason, so that we could all reconnect with self, family, friends on a deeper level than what we have
Absolutely.
been doing.
Absolutely. And my sister always says every therapist needs a therapist. And every year I've done counseling to some capacity. So this year has been no different. Um, and so it's just been a really good place for us to move and challenge some things and to see if I really healed through some things. So 2020, regardless of how challenging it has been, and it has been a year to remind me that it's not over. There is still so much more to come. And even in the midst of all of this, I
Yes.
the resume is still 16 pages. So let's go.
Thank you. Look, you trying to figure out how to cut that resume down.
I ain't cutting it down. Oh, I see. So that's the other thing. I have a shorter resume, but my 16 pages is what I work for. And what I
Yeah.
realized in the field, they don't give it to us. So when
No.
we put ourselves out there for a position, and they said, well, I wonder if Shawnte has this. Very rarely do they make an assumption that yes, I have it.
Yeah, they always assume that we don't have it, so we have to work we have to work harder to get to that space than what. Well, as somebody who really doesn't have it and don't look like us, they'll just give it to them. I
So you're
always,
gonna get all this. You're gonna get
yeah,
all 16 pages. And so unless the job specifically says we want a condensed 2-page resume and a 1-page cover
yeah.
letter, you're gonna get this.
I
Because in
had,
higher ed, that is the norm.
yeah.
That
I
is the
had
norm.
one of my girlfriends tell me, because I'm doing like you. I'd been trying to figure out how to condense my resume. And she said, why? Why would you condense your resume? She said, look at all the education you have, all the experience you have, everything that you've done. She was like, yo, don't dumb yourself down for these people. They need to
Mom,
understand that this is who they're getting. And they should be grateful that you actually applied to the position. So I'm there with you.
they
Okay.
can't see my facial expressions right now, but I'm just saying yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because again, I had a chance to talk to some colleagues that do similar work, and I've applied for every job I've gotten.
Yeah.
I didn't get promoted. I didn't get a
No.
tap on the shoulder. Like, and for those who have, blessings to you. I'm so happy for you. But as far as for me, I have worked for everything.
It
I
didn't
have
always
labored.
fall that way for us sometimes.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so I don't want you all to ever have to assume, does Shawnte have or can Shawnte do? Yes, she can.
Yes, she can. That's
And can
very
I
true.
just add a part to that, Cami? I know we're talking about these dimensions, and one of the things a lot of people talk about when it comes to like to intellectual wellness or emotional wellness, this word humility.
Yes.
I had a conversation with a mentee who got feedback that he wasn't humble enough, and I said I really want to know what they meant by that, because for me it is a very triggering word when I see statements of be humble, you know,
Yeah.
have humility. Are,
What did
to me it feels like you're trying to make me dim my light.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to you. What did they mean by that? Because that doesn't sound like, now it could be, you can say it in a positive manner, but that word humble is a trigger word.
It it
It's
it it doesn't sit well with me, because usually when they're
yeah,
using it, there's like, "Would be humble. Don't be out here." When I submit a 16-page resume, well, you need to be humble, Shawnte. Don't be out here. What do you mean by that? I
you
worked
mean
for
you
this.
want me not to be my great self that I
Right. Like
ain't?
I'm trying to understand. Look, help me to understand what
Yeah.
you are trying to display or trying to inform me to do. Because
You
what I
know,
realize is humble doesn't mean I can't be confident.
yeah,
Humble doesn't mean I can't be authentic. Humble doesn't mean that I can't remind you of my worth and what I
that's
bring to the
right.
table. Because remember, we haven't been known to be invited to the table Shawnte has had to bring her own table and chairs to this table and sit
Girl,
beside me. Y'all know
what
y'all
you
see
talking
me over
about?
here.
We not invited to the table. They half the time they lock the door so we can't get in. We
Right.
we be outside, Jimmy opening the door ourselves with our own folding table and folding chairs. Talk about you ain't gonna keep me out of this. Don't worry about it. I got you, boo.
And so because of that, when I talk about, some people call it career or occupational wellness, all that impacts our emotional well-being. And you got
Yep.
the imposter syndrome. We question ourselves. So when
Yep.
people start saying to be humble, my question is, well, which version of me do you want me to
Do
show
you
up
really
today?
want me to show you? Yeah. You
Because
want the version of me that you want to see, or you want the real version of me? So,
I don't know. But what I will say in 2020, as I look at those dimensions, I live them authentically. I live them out loud. How I'm talking to you is how I engage with everybody. I want the students, my clients, my subordinates, those I supervise, to see all of me,
yeah.
which means they also get to see that part of me that is spiritual, that believes that this is bigger than me. I want you
Yeah.
to see what guides me, what does make me fall on my knees, and reminds me about what this work really means. And so for me, when I talk about dimensions of wellness, it's being reminded to dive into each of those dimensions on an ongoing basis, to do some daily checks, weekly, monthly checks on, hey, where are you staying right now
Yeah.
in these
Finding
dimensions?
balance in all of those facets of
And
your life.
sometimes that balance is not even there. And that's why
Mm.
I've started to challenge myself from the balance to be, are you even aware of where
Yeah.
you are? And because I would say for the first 12 years of my life, it was about balance in those dimensions. But I will say the last couple of years, I've started to take the balance away and go to more, are you aware that these dimensions are there? Are you aware of where you stand in these dimensions?
That's very true, because there are a lot of people that are not even aware of where they stand in those dimensions of their lives. Because when I go, I have a questionnaire that I have my clients fill out, and it breaks it down, each of those dimensions, into
Same here.
questions.
Same
And
here.
when you start to get into those questions and you ask them questions and they don't even understand those questions, or they don't have answers for those questions, then you start to see a little bit of where their life is lacking and where some of their issues, or I'm not even going to say issues, some of the things underlying are taking place,
Mm-hmm.
and some
Mm-hmm.
ways in which you can sort of incorporate ways to help them through that. But a lot of them are not even aware, or they don't even know how to start, let alone balance those areas of their lives. So
Absolutely.
I'm right there with you on that. Now, let me ask you this. This is some fun questions I have, because we're going to wrap it up a little bit. If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it say and why?
I I would say lately, my quote has been, "Y'all see me now, don't you?"
Okay, I like that one.
It has been, as I watch me and other women of color navigate this work, specifically in higher ed, and that moment of when it starts to switch over and people recognize our expertise in our work, and all of a sudden the calls and the emails are overflowing.
Yes,
And the conversation we all had was, "You see me now, don't you?" And
right.
what made you not see me when I was doing this same work before? And so I put that there as a reminder of the labor it takes, not only for, you know, Black, Indigenous, people of color, but when you add women in there. When I did my dissertation, they talked about the glass ceiling, but when they talked about it from women, specifically Black women, we referred to it as a concrete ceiling. It
Yeah,
was impenetrable. We couldn't even see through it.
you
And
can't
so
see through it.
you can't look around it. You just like, I'm gonna keep doing it till something happens. And that
Um,
reminds me so much of, this why I said 2020 has been a great year, because they see me. And my
yeah.
work is now speaking for itself, but this work hasn't changed. The only thing that
The
has changed in the past year is the doctor is done.
You said something really amazing that it didn't really hit me until you just said it. Is that 2020 is actually, they don't just see you, they see all of us. Um, they see us for the work that we've done, for the work that we're doing. Um, One of the things that my business partner actually said to me was, you're going to start getting a lot more contracts now. And he was like, more nonprofits are going to want to work with you now. And sure enough,
I see that with my friends that work in diversity, equity, inclusion work, you
yeah,
know, and while it is bittersweet on what triggered a lot of this, it is
it's
also affirming to those of us who've been doing this work for quite some time.
yeah.
That's my
Um,
that's my billboard.
I love your billboard, girl. Your billboard inspired me.
And the picture gonna be like,
Okay,
just
hold on,
leaning to the
wait.
side.
I can see your face like, you see me now, right?
Right. Head cocked to the side. Y'all see me.
Oh, Shawnte, this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for being a guest on the 10 Dimensions of Wellness. Tell people how they can contact you, how they can get in touch with Sister Wells, how they can sign up for your classes. Now, I know you have a marijuana
Yes.
cessation program. See, I'm out there. I'm looking at what you got going on. I see you, girl. I see you.
So we have a couple things coming up. Yeah. So first thing is sisterwells.org, all together is our website. We're also on Instagram and we're also on Facebook. You can reach out to us through any of those entities or through our website. We have an email list, or you can just send us a message there. We have an upcoming webinar and panel, two different ones on cannabis-induced psychosis. Are you at risk? We've seen an increase in the amount of marijuana utilization, specifically in the African American community. And we want to remind people that this is not your mama's pot. This is not the same type of marijuana from the 60s.
You know what? I want to have you come back on and talk about that. So we'll set up another time where we'll just dedicate that entire show to you talking about the marijuana use, the different types of pot that's out there, so that people can actually be educated on this, not just learning about your program, but also so that you can give the message and actually talk to people. Because when you said that, you actually struck, and I know that we can walk down the aisle and what we smell. Okay.
And I'm in Washington State where it's legal, so that's a whole different conversation. So for those who want counseling, it is available depending on the state that you're in. So reach out through Sister Wells' website. Quenisha and Sheree are both accepting clients. If you're looking for a coach, both myself and Charla are accepting new clients. Everything is on our website. You can register for the webinar and our panel up on the website. Connect with us, engage with us. A lot of us do other type of webinars, do other organizations. We connect with other groups. So we're everywhere, anywhere we need to be. And a lot of us do mentor when we have time. And that's also available.
All right, so you guys can find all of this information about Shawnte on our website, NRI Wellness. You guys know I always do an article about our guests, so all of her links, all of her information will be posted there. So it'll link you back to her business Facebook page as well as her business website. And I'm gonna get one of those flyers about her marijuana program and put that on there as well, so that when I do the article, you guys will know she's gonna be back on the show again to talk about that.
I'm going to bring the doctor. So my sister's a licensed clinical addiction specialist. So
yes, we're going to have the twin sisters on.
And yes, we sound alike, Cammy. So just get ready.
I'm like, now which one is that? Who is that
talking? The first 2 minutes going to be, oh my God, y'all sound just alike. So go ahead and get it out your system. Get it out your system.
Yes, but no, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. I am just ecstatic about this. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you for agreeing to do this podcast. Thank you for spreading your message. Thank you for helping other women get well. So just gratitude all around for everything that you do. It has been such a joy. I've enjoyed myself. I'm sure my listeners have as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys, we're going to wrap up for this evening. Thank you for listening to the 10 Dimensions of Wellness. You can find our podcast on Anchor FM. We are also available on Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and our YouTube channel at NRI Wellness. Thank you so much and have a great night, everyone.
Did you know that the average person carries around 5 to 20 pounds of fecal matter in their intestines, depending on their diet? Some people are walking around feeling sluggish, constipated, unable to lose weight, skin issues, and allergies, all because of the toxins that are in their intestines. Listen, life gives us enough battles to fight. Your health shouldn't be one of those. If you change your mindset on how you actually view food, you will never have to worry about your health or weight again. I'm Ashley, owner of She Loves Wellness. I help people transition into a healthy lifestyle. I offer tips, recipe, and supplement kits to jumpstart your lifestyle change. Visit me on Facebook and IG at She Loves Wellness for your product information and samples. Don't forget, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change.